All right, we're back with another one. So today we're talking about your practice area, niching down as you're planning to open your law firm. Maybe your firm is open and you need to kind of just become more clear on your practice areas, or maybe you want to change practice areas. And so today we're talking about all things picking your practice area as a solo law firm owner. Now, I do think it's very important that you do niche down, niche down, however you want to say it, because you want to be clear on who you are and also who you're serving, which is more important, that you understand who it is you're serving and developing who your ideal client is. And for a lot of attorneys I talk to, the answer might be, well, whoever can pay me. But no, that is not the answer to who your ideal client is. And you may not know right now, especially if you're in the process of trying to open a law firm or you're thinking about opening a law firm, but you want to continue to kind of think about this and kind of flesh this out as you prepare to open your solo law firm. It's really becoming clear on who your ideal client is. Now, when we're picking a practice area and deciding what our niche may be, you'll want to keep in mind that your niche is not a practice area. That's too big to be a niche. It can't be. So I'll take myself for an example. I do estate planning, real estate, and bankruptcy. But none of those are niches. Those are practice areas. They're very large, right? And so if yours is immigration or criminal or family law, or maybe you have a practice area like one of mine. And so that is not going to be your actual niche. Your niche is going to be within that practice area. It's going to be smaller. So for example, with my bankruptcy practice, bankruptcies can be Chapter 7 bankruptcy, Chapter 11 bankruptcy, it could be Chapter 13 bankruptcy. It could be, helping clients find alternatives to bankruptcy and dealing with their debts. There's all these different niche practice area or niches within that practice area of bankruptcy, right? And so if I just say I do bankruptcy, it might not be clear to people who it is I actually help. And you want people to know who it is you help so they know who to send your way and who to refer to you as far as potential clients. And so for other lawyers, it might be, they might have a better idea of what exactly I do when I say I do bankruptcy, but it's not going to be clear to most other people. Like, when would they send someone to me, right? And so for me, in my practice area of bankruptcy, my niche is really helping homeowners avoid foreclosure. When I tell people I help homeowners avoid foreclosure, that's very clear on what type of referral to send my way for a client to self-identify if I might be able to help them, right? So within my niche, my practice area of bankruptcy, my niche is really helping homeowners avoid foreclosure. And I do that with Chapter 13 bankruptcy. But again, for anyone who's not a lawyer, or even for, a lawyer who's not familiar with bankruptcy, they're not going to be clear on Chapter 13 bankruptcy and what exactly that means and what I do. And so if I say I help homeowners avoid foreclosure, that's clearer on what it is I do, who I help, and how I help them. It's very specific on who is an ideal client for me, right? And it's easy for my referral network to understand who to send my way. And for a lot of people, the notion of talking to a bankruptcy attorney is very scary, right? It's pretty intimidating to, and kind of overwhelming and stressful. But if it's, instead of I'm a bankruptcy attorney, which for a lot of clients, they know that I am. But if instead it's, I help homeowners avoid foreclosure, it's not as scary anymore. I mean, facing foreclosure is scary, don't get me wrong. But I think just identifying as an attorney who helps the client to avoid foreclosure is a little bit more, puts a little bit more at ease, and they are clear that I am the attorney to help them, right? They don't want to be foreclosed upon. So whatever we have to do, whether it's bankruptcy or outside of bankruptcy, they know that I'm the one that's going to be able to help them, right? And so keep in mind that when you're trying to determine like how to explain what it is you do, what your elevator pitch is, clients are coming to you to solve a specific problem, not for the legal process. They don't give a damn if I file a bankruptcy for them. They just want the problem solved. They want to deal with the debt. They want to deal with that foreclosure. They want to stop their car from being repossessed, whatever it is. They don't care how I get them there, as long as I just get them to that finish line, right? And so it's not so much bankruptcy. So your practice area is not going to be your niche. Your niche should be a lot smaller than just the practice areas. And if you're still trying to figure out what your practice area may be or what your niche may be, keep some things in mind. You know, what's your passion? What do you want to do? What do you care about, right? What is your background? Do you have prior work experience that's going to help you in a certain practice area? Financial considerations, you know, are you going to be able to make enough money from that practice area or from that niche? And how long will it take for you to start making money, right? If you're brand new into being a solo, is it going to take you a year until you see your first, you know, check coming in, right? If you're doing personal injury or some other type of practice area where you don't get, or if you're doing like Social Security where you get paid on the back end, how long will it be until you start seeing that money come in? And then also think about the practice areas, you know, what's the flexibility with them? What kind of technology is available for those practice areas? What are your lifestyle preferences? You know, some practices will require in-person client meetings. Some practice areas you can do fully remote. Like for me with my estate planning, when I'm doing wills and trusts and power of attorneys, we're signing those in person. So we're actually at my physical brick and mortar office today, not at my home office, because I have to, you know, do some estate plan signings today. So I have to actually come into the office. And so if you want a practice area where you don't have to come into the office, where you can do everything remote, then maybe estate planning is not the right practice area for you. Possibly, I don't know. Each, you know, state's going to be different as far as what they do and don't allow. But for me, I work a hybrid of, you know, partially remote from home, partially in person here at my office for my practice areas. And I like coming to an office, and so that's how my setup looks, and why I work hybrid, and why I have to have a physical space where I come and meet with clients for the actual wet signing of documents. So let's say you don't know what your practice area is going to be, or you're not sure, maybe you're tossing around a few ideas. I thought it might be helpful if I talk about my practice areas and kind of how it all kind of came together, because let's see, bankruptcy and estate planning, I didn't take courses on either of those while I was in law school. That was never the plan, right? And so I always kind of had an interest in real estate, but when I was in law school, I, you know, worked at the prosecutor's office, the attorney general's office, and so I was kind of on a different track. And I think I've explained this in different videos before, so I won't go into too deeply as to why things pivoted. But in short, the market crash, I found myself at a real estate and estate planning firm. And so out of law school, that's where I was working. And given the market crashing, I found myself where I needed to help my clients save their homes. They were losing their homes kind of left and right with what was happening in real estate. And that's how I started being introduced to bankruptcy as an option to help my homeowners avoid a foreclosure, save their homes, do some restructuring, because the market was just in the tank. The real estate market is what I mean. At that time, it was like 2008, 2009. And so I started taking like every CLE I could find about bankruptcy. I was going to different like bar organization events, social groups for bankruptcy attorneys, trying to figure it out because I had no idea of how bankruptcy worked. And so then it turned into where really my niche kind of organically became where real estate and bankruptcy kind of cross paths, and where you know, I started doing most of my work helping homeowners avoid foreclosure. But that's going to take me to where I want to go next, because I want to talk about your practice areas and what I feel is the importance of having multiple practice areas. So again, I do bankruptcy, estate planning, and real estate. My niche really is helping homeowners avoid foreclosure. But here's what happened. Through COVID, March 2020, in my state, which is Washington State, there was a moratorium on foreclosures. There was a moratorium on garnishments, which is, you know, great for those who are in financial distress, losing their jobs, things like that. But there were no bankruptcy filings, right? Those numbers were so minimal as far as the number of people who were filing bankruptcy. A lot of my colleagues who only did bankruptcy were struggling. I know quite a few who actually closed their doors and started doing something else all entirely because of the lack of business coming in, and they had all their eggs in the basket of doing bankruptcy work. So my bankruptcy really dried up as far as the kind of cases that, you know, the calls that were coming into my office. But my estate planning and my probate practice skyrocketed. I have never done so many estate plans and probates during that time, you know. Excuse me. And so for a lot of clients, you know, maybe I met with them 2, 3, 4, 5+ years prior about doing their estate plan. And you know, a lot of times clients will put it on the back burner. It's not a priority. Well, all those, you know, consults I had in years prior followed up with me and was like, you know, the world is crazy right now. Things are scary. We're scared. We want to make sure we have our affairs in order. A lot of new clients come in for estate planning. Unfortunately, we did have a lot of COVID-related deaths come through our office and a lot of probate for those cases, which was really sad and really hard for, you know, our clients to endure the loss of a loved one during COVID. And given the heightened restrictions that were in place at the time, you know, they weren't able to go to the hospital, weren't able to be there. So it was a lot emotionally, but that skyrocketed and that really carried my practice and allowed me to continue to operate and not have to lay anyone off, still be able to keep staff busy, and kind of keep moving forward. It's just that through COVID, it's really been a lot of estate planning, a lot of probate, and very minimal bankruptcies coming in. So for me, that was a first-hand lesson that as a solo, you really need to make sure that you have multiple practice areas and consistent practice areas. And so there's some practice areas that are very like up and down, right? Kind of can be seasonal, based on market conditions and what's happening with real estate or a number of other factors. So that's going to be your bankruptcy. That's going to be your real estate, right? You know, excuse me, but you know, there's some practice areas that are going to be more consistent, right? I would say your estate planning is probably pretty consistent. Family law is going to be pretty consistent. Probably personal injury, right? It's pretty consistent. Criminal law might be pretty consistent. So you'll want to keep those things in mind when you're thinking about your practice areas and where you want to niche down, that if you are a solo, you want to have a consistent practice area. I think having 2 or maybe 3 practice areas is ideal for a solo practitioner. So you can have one that you're really passionate about maybe, but maybe isn't as busy, is more seasonal, market based, or doesn't bring in a lot of revenue, but it's something that you truly care about. Then also you have your more reliable practice area that's going to be consistent and kind of keep you going through those seasonal changes, those market changes in your practice, okay? And lastly, when you figured out your practice areas, figured out your niche is going to be, you need to develop your referral network. You need people to know what it is you do and who to send your way, right? So who are your clients going to when they have a problem? Who are they talking to, right? So with my estate planning practice, it's going to be financial planners, it's going to be CPAs, it's going to be, you know, tax professionals, things like that. For bankruptcy, it's going to be their real estate agents. A lot of times for clients, when they are getting behind on their mortgage, they call their real estate agent, the person who sold them the home. They don't know who else to reach out to. And so a lot of referrals come there. And so again, if my clients are facing foreclosure, behind their mortgage, maybe they're talking to their local mortgage lender, real estate agents for sure. You know, maybe they're talking to a real estate attorney. They're definitely looking online at Google or YouTube as far as like, you know, what to do, how to avoid foreclosure. And I talk about foreclosure and estate planning because that's my experience, right? So that's what I can share with you as far as what I know. And so I would say whatever your practice area is, make sure you're creating content for that practice area so people can find you and that they'll view you as the authority on that topic. So if you're ready to blog for your website, I have a blog on my firm's website. I also write for a local community blog in a local town here. I write a separate blog for that. I also put out YouTube videos for my law firm, which I never thought I would do. I only wanted to make a few videos just to have some content on my firm's webpage. so that people could kind of get to know me a little bit before they even called my office. And I had to house it on YouTube so it wouldn't slow my website down. Well, people are Googling their answers and those YouTube results come up, and I have gotten quite a bit of client calls, new clients from YouTube videos I make. Now, a lot of the YouTube calls from YouTube are people who are outside of Washington, and I'm only licensed in Washington. But setting up a YouTube account and making a few videos, even just on your phone, just about what you do and kind of how you do it, or answering frequently asked questions, I think it is so much stronger for you as the attorney. Instead of coming up with 10 FAQs and just writing those answers and putting those on your website, which is a good thing to do, or even better thing to do is to create 10 different blog posts answering those questions. And even better thing to do is create 10 short videos answering those FAQs. So powerful. So few attorneys in your area are doing that. I can tell you that firsthand. There's very few attorneys around me who are making YouTube videos answering common client questions. And so I'm kind of getting off topic, but something to keep in mind if you've decided your practice area, decided your niche, create some content around that practice area so people can find you. Your website, your FAQs, some blogs, some videos. Start making that content and put that out there. It's really going to be helpful for you as you're looking for clients in those practice areas. And so also keep in mind who can help the clients that you cannot help. I give out so many referrals. I have a list of like 30 attorneys that I refer cases to for people who call my office. People call my office for all kinds of things that are not related to what I do at all. I get calls for family law stuff, for criminal stuff. I get calls for every practice area, even though my website says nothing about anything beyond real estate, bankruptcy, and estate planning. And so having a list of people that I have come to know, like, and trust myself, and I know will take good care of my clients, that has paid over tenfold to me. The more I can give out referrals and give referrals to other attorneys, to real estate agents, to title officers, to CPAs, the more I get back. So make sure you have a list of people to refer clients to for the clients that you can't help. And also, that's a great impression on that person who calls your office. If they call your office, they email you looking for help, you say, you know, this is outside my practice area, I can't help you, but here's 3 attorneys who can, or who may be able to. Reach out to them. They're so appreciative to have some direction of where to go and who to call and to contact, and that it's someone that you trust to refer them to. They really appreciate that. So I definitely recommend having a list of attorneys that you can refer people to in the event that you can't help them. So how do you develop your network? How do you develop a referral network for yourself of people who will refer business to you? Well, I would first start out by finding other attorneys. Maybe, I would say in your area, but nowadays it can be anywhere in your state, right? But, you know, I think knowing local attorneys and actually meeting them face to face, over coffee, over lunch, is a great way to establish that relationship with them and to meet them. And now when you reach out to other attorneys, they may not all respond. Maybe they don't all have time, but some will. And, you know, I've met many attorneys who've been very helpful and giving of their time to me when I've had a question or I've needed help or wanted to develop my network. So definitely reach out. Again, you might get some no's, you might, you know, get some that don't respond, but you'll get some yeses also, and it's worth it to get those yeses for you. Okay. You also want to identify other professionals in your area who are not attorneys, who may also be able to refer to you. So again, like I said, real estate agents, title officers, lenders, CPAs, those are all great referrals for me. And also they're great people that I can refer out to also. So I have taken the time in my career to establish those relationships with people who I've identified might be a good referral source for me, and also who I can refer to. It's a two-way street. It's not one way. You're not just looking for who can refer to me. No, it's going to be a mutual relationship where it's referrals both ways, right? Also, look for organizations where you can be a part of and maybe develop some mentoring relationships as well as networking relationships. So it could be statewide through your state bar association, maybe on the county level through your county bar association, your, you know, federal bar association, other organizations based on common interests. you know, or other similarities. Like for me, I'm a part of a, you know, it's called Mamas. It's let me get this right. Mother Attorney Mentoring Association of Seattle. Okay, got it right. And I must get it right because I'm on the board, so I have to get that right. So it's other lawyers who are moms. So finding organizations where there's some commonalities or common interests that you can join and actually participate on. You can't just join, you have to actually participate and go to the events and actually meet people. Again, usually in person is a great way to do so and establish those relationships. Also, doing speaking engagements or writing an article. My state and county bars, they have like monthly publications that they're always looking for writers on. Or again, my county and state bars usually have like monthly CLEs that they're always looking for speakers on. And when I went out on my own early on, I went out on my own in 2016, and like March of 2017, I did a presentation for my state bar association on like an intro to bankruptcy for attorneys. And I still get referrals from that. And it's been 7 years, 6-7 years now since I did that. And so it's a great way to show up, to really polish your skills, your presentation skills, and your knowledge on your practice area, and to establish yourself as an authority in that practice area for other attorneys that I wouldn't have otherwise met. Going to CLEs, even if you're not speaking, just going in person again would be ideal if you're trying to establish new relationships for growing your referral network, growing your mentoring relationships, and things of that nature. So this is kind of my summary on how to pick your practice areas, how to niche down, and then how to actually cultivate those practice areas for yourself, and how to actually grow them and to become the go-to authority in your area on those practice areas and in your niche. So I hope this was helpful, and it's long enough. It's 22 minutes now. So I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.